You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and it's not every day that we have an opportunity to be in conversation with an Obie Award-winning actor and businessman whose portfolio of work spans across film, television, and theater. Born in New Orleans, trained at Juilliard, Wendell Pierce is known for some of the most memorable roles, including the detective Bunk Moorhead in The Wire, as well as Robert Zane in Suits. The list goes on and on and on. Welcome to the show, Wendell.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I mean, we have so much to talk about, but first things first, you're an artist. You've been in the game for a long time, and
it'll be 40 years. 40 years next month.
40 years. Wow.
Yes.
You don't look it.
Oh, well, thank you.
that must come with like a Kiehl's deal.
Yeah.
But I've got to get your reaction to just sort of the state of play in the industry. The great Nina Simone says, the job of an artist is to reflect the times. These are turbulent times for our country, for the world. How are you reflecting on that?
Well, a lot of times, especially here in America, we don't understand the role of the artist. Entertainment is just a byproduct of what we do. It is not the focus. What thoughts are to the individual, where you reflect on who you are, who you hope to become, your triumphs, your failures. When we gather together, that's the role of the artist, where we collectively, as community, come together and think about who we are, where we hope to go. We decide what our values are in the form of art, and then hopefully go out and act on those values. That's the role of an artist. And I'm trying to, especially now where we have the American secret police rounding up people in armored vehicles, and we're watching a genocide happening in Gaza by the state of Israel. And, we have to say something about that in our work, so that we can reflect on it, because that's the role of the artist, where people will go, is this a reflection of my values? Who are we? Who do we want to be, as your show says, to form a more perfect union? That is a ongoing task.
An ongoing task indeed. You clearly not mincing words. Just yesterday on the show, we had an international affairs expert, Desiree Cormier-Smith. She joined our show. She's the former special representative for racial justice and diplomacy in the Biden-Harris administration. And we were talking about how influential Israeli public figures are starting to stand up. And they are calling on the global community to levy sanctions against Israel. I asked her yesterday if she thought that this was a turning point in the Israeli-Gaza conflict. You just brought up what so many people have been calling a genocide. Do you believe that that's a turning point for the global community?
Well, I've always come to believe that situations like this it's like a chronic disease, where you always have to be ever vigilant. We can never assume that we're at a turning point, or we've accomplished anything, or we've fallen behind. We just have to be vigilant and ongoing. I think it's a moment of clarity for people who are kind of indifferent. Realize you can't watch starving children on television and in media and not have a visceral response to that. And so people are saying, what is going to be my contribution to this paradigm? Because that's the one thing you control, what you're going to do. And so I think that's the moment we're in, a moment of clarity of you cannot be indifferent to the pain and suffering that you see.
That is for sure. And one of the memorable things about the hit series The Wire is that it put pain and suffering and community in full display. So
Hmm.
much that a lot of people far and wide have been calling for The Wire to come back. But CNN is reporting that you said that the show should stay untouched and in the past. Why did you say that?
Well, I don't think the show is in the past. I think it should be untouched because it is very effective in uh, demonstrating the dysfunction in our society. It was the canary in the mine to let us know, as a cautionary tale, that if we go down the path we are on, this is how it destroys our communities and how it destroys individuals. And so, like a good book, the thing that makes something a classic um, is the fact that it spoke to the people when it was created. It speaks to people now. Wire will speak to people even after we're gone because there's that common thread of humanity, and the impact of the Wire is something that is classic. And what makes it classic is that it speaks to people's humanity across time, across space, uh, um, people from disparate walks of life, and across generations. So it's that's why I say it should be untouched. So because we can go back to it over and over and over again and learn and the lessons that the Wire taught us, and put out those warnings that the Wire taught us. It's we see the impact of the dysfunction, and when you do not serve the people of your community, uh, the greatest resource that we have, community, is destroyed, and that was the lesson of the Wire. And I don't want, when something works, when something is impactful like that, you revisit it over and over and over. You don't change it, and that's
Do
why.
you think do you think The Wire has been helpful in helping us to assess, leadership in general, but particularly Black leadership? When I think of, just sort of all the changes that have happened in Baltimore, for example, over the
Mhm.
past few decades, I wonder if shows like The Wire, have helped the public to judge leaders, to assess their leadership differently, perhaps more effectively, because of shows like The Wire.
Uh, I would hope so. As I said before, art is supposed to collectively make us reflect on what our values are and then go act on our values. And the one thing about The Wire, people always say, what a great show it is and all. As many people love The Wire, there were people that hated The Wire. And I was confronted by those folks even while we were doing it. And what I always say to that is, I'm glad you're upset by The Wire. I hope that when you look at The Wire, you are upset. You should be upset. And you should never lose the ability to be offended. I'm glad you're offended by that. But now I ask you this: what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I remember this one woman confronting me on the train from Baltimore to New York.
Mhm.
Um, African American woman, professional. I think she was on Wall Street, and she said, "I hate The Wire. The depiction of all of all these gangsters and just the characters that you have on that are just awful." And I said, "We have Black lawyers and Black doctors. All the leadership in City Hall are Black. We have Black policemen. We have Black professionals, Black teachers." I said, "But you only see the thugs or
Mhm.
those who are selling drugs or whatever. If you, as a professional woman, can only see that, imagine the impact that they have on those kids in the neighborhood. So maybe you should get in the neighborhood and combat the attraction to that underground economy that those kids are seeing because they can't participate in the regular economy. So it's okay that you're offended. What are you going to do about it?" So uh, that's the lesson that I think leadership is learning from The Wire.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing over many years, helping to combat some of the damaging narratives out there for our community, in our community, not just on film or behind the camera or on the stage, but also as owner of your very own station in New Orleans. Talk to us about your station in New Orleans and how being an owner of a station that people rely on, how that helps you prepare for your role as Perry White, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Planet newspaper in Superman.
Superman. Yes. Well, I'm one of the owners of WBOK, which is a Black talk radio station in New Orleans. It's a legacy station, over 70 years old. It was the place where, Black folks had a platform, when they don't have a platform in other aspects of the media. And actually, this week we're closing on an FM station, FM translator, so we're going to be broadening our scope of WBOK. Imagine back in the day, people will hear on WBOK, there's a Friday night fish fry happening, and Sunday, Dr. King is going to be here, preaching. So it gives people a platform that they don't have other places, and that's really important. And that's a powerful engine of advocacy. And as an example, as a business owner, that's advocating for what I think is the 21st century social justice movement, which is economic development. We understand the 20th century political movement of the civil rights movement. To combine that with an economic engine in the 21st century will really mean progress for the community. So that's something that I'm very proud of. And to have that impact, is real world training for preparation of Perry White and Superman, an editor who's struggling with a newspaper at a time when newspapers are having issues. So I knew firsthand what it's like to try to run a media company. So when I got into Perry White, and to be given a great story like Superman, to land on my desk as an editor of the Daily Planet, that was a real gift. And so I feel the power of that movie when I also give people in New Orleans the opportunity to speak their mind on the radio at WBOK. So it's art imitating life, life imitating art. And I am proud to say that I have an association with KBLA. We syndicate, and we're the first syndicated station of Tavis Smiley's show. So I'm very proud of that.
We are very proud of that too. We're very proud to call WVOK our sister station, especially in a time such as this, where we see journalism under attack. I'm sure you saw the $8 billion transaction that took place. Skydance is now the owner of CBS Paramount after a string of eyebrow-raising decisions by CBS Paramount, including really ending the Late Show with Steve Colbert, settling with President Trump. I think it was a $16 million check to his library.
Right.
What do you make of not the CBS Paramount deal specifically, but what do you make of this moment in journalism where we're seeing, so many legacy institutions, legacy organizations seemingly bending the knee to power?
Well, I think we are living in a time of autocracy. It's evident. And at these times, you have a choice. And there's examples like you're saying of what's happening with CBS and what's happening at ABC, capitulating, to make sure that their business is protected because the president is running it like an extortion operation. You either do this or we're going to cut you off. The capitulation of universities like Columbia University, where they have to give their curriculum to the White House before it's approved, before they teach it. Then you have the opposite of that, and then you have the law firms who said, we'll capitulate and give tens of millions of dollars to make sure that we're able to even go into federal court, able to go into federal buildings to still do our business. But then you have the other example of people saying, if you capitulate in times of autocracy, you are doomed to fail, and their eyes are clear. And so you have, as opposed to Columbia, you have an example of Harvard University, the #1 university in the world, really, holding fast. As opposed to those law firms that have capitulated, you have the LDF, the Legal Defense Fund, or the NAACP, holding fast and fighting in the courts. You see other media companies saying, we will not capitulate and we will be journalists. We have a bar that is set and we're going to honor that bar. And so it gives people an opportunity to reflect on what their contribution is going to be to this dysfunctional paradigm. And so there are two clear choices, either to capitulate or to hold fast to your principles, no matter what may happen.
I want to ask you this. The Variety recently reported that Dean Cain, who's played Superman in previous franchises, in an appearance, he seemed to turn up the MAGA volume on the new Superman, and there was a subtle jab at Red State America. He says that he thinks that the Superman may be a little bit more woke. And, for our leaders, learners, and listeners out there, Dean Cain is a proud, supporter of President Trump. And so do you hear this and think, okay, no surprise there, plenty of room for people who've been a part of the franchise to have different points of view, but, or do you take offense to people that seem to, be issuing jabs at this iteration of Superman, calling it woke?
Well, you lose all credibility with me when you even use the term woke. Because what is woke? It is just it was used effectively in a political campaign to dispel, to be a catch-all phrase for a catch-all disparaging phrase. If I don't like something you're doing, all I have to do is call it woke. Unfortunately, they co-opted a term in our community, which was a term of endearment, a term of consciousness, that you are about self-determination, exercising your right of self-determination, and being clear-eyed, and exercising a radical self-care. I grew up understanding that if you called me woke, I was proud. Then it was co-opted and turned into something disparaging. And all it was a misinformation campaign. So whenever anyone says this is woke now in that political vein, I just realize that it's just a misinformation campaign, and they are uninformed, and they are just trying to misdirect. And it is a fallacy. Whatever comes after they say something is woke is a fallacy and just propaganda. Everyone has a right to an opinion. They can have their opinions. I appreciate the fact that worldwide, so many millions of people have gone and just enjoyed the movie. And it's been a great commercial success as well.
A great commercial success, indeed. What's next for you, Mr. Pierce?
Right now, I am waiting in the next few weeks on August 15th, Highest to Lowest by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington. I'm in that movie. It's a wonderful movie. And we opened it in Cannes this summer. And so this summer here, I have 3 movies that are going to be out, very different, showing a range. I'm in Thunderbolts. I'm in Superman. I'm in highest to lowest. And then I'm on Elsbeth, CBS show. It's like a female Columbo on Thursday nights. I play a captain of a precinct there with Carrie Preston, who is absolutely wonderful, playing Elsbeth, this Columbo, this female Columbo. And then later on, there's a documentary of Katrina, and I had a question for myself 20 years ago of I'm imagining a kid asking me today, Mr. Pierce, 20 years ago in New Orleans' darkest hour, what did you do? And I put together a redevelopment of my historic neighborhood of Pontchartrain Park, and we rebuilt it brick by brick, house by house, block by block, and now we're on the National Register of Historic Places. So I'm in a documentary that is going to be talking about Katrina. I think that's on Netflix. It's actually executive produced by Spike Lee. And then in August, also, The American Revolution, Ken Burns' American Revolution, where I play James Lafayette. I'm the voice of James Lafayette, who's a Black patriot. And it's so interesting. That documentary is going to be so interesting because the question of slavery was there at the very beginning of this fight of the American Revolution, when the patriots were asking African Americans, join us and fight the British to liberate freedom. And they said, listen, we will join you, but this issue of slavery, you have to end right now. If we're going to fight for freedom, we all have to be free. And the patriots of the time asked them, well, just put it aside. I promise we'll take care of that at some point, but just fight with us right now. And there were so many Black men and women who were a part of the American Revolution, fighting the double V, as we called it in World War II, victory abroad and victory at home. They were fighting against the British and fighting for the promise that was given to them by the original patriots of ending slavery. It did not happen for another century, but that's a very interesting project. I'm very proud of that, The American Revolution by Ken Burns. So I'm very, very busy. And then next year, at the end of the TV season, when Elsbeth ends, I will be doing Othello at the Shakespeare Theater Company in Washington, D.C. I'm looking forward to that. So on stage, on television, and in film, I'm just a journeyman actor doing my thing.
Wow. Well, bravo. You've given us basically a whole curriculum. we have a lot to tap into. Please go out and see Superman, and then also that Katrina doc on Netflix. I'm sure that's going to be
highest to lowest. Denzel gives a great performance, and ASAP Rocky is absolutely wonderful in it as well. Spike Lee is doing his thing. It's real Spike Lee joy.
It's awesome. Thank you so much to Wendell Pierce. He is an Obie Award-winning actor and businessman, also the owner of WVOK. And so
WBOK
in New Orleans. Be sure to tap in, tune in. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to the Tony Award-winning producer and Tony-nominated actor, Wendell Pierce. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.